coming in at number 12 on our list is Meiko from Edward Gaming. I have him ranked 12th. Spawn has him ranked 12th. Deficio loves him some Meiko, number 9. Talk about why he's so high on your list.
So, Meiko is a support I think all of us have followed for quite some years now. He came in obviously very, very young in the start, had a lot of success way back at MSI when EDG beat SKT, was kind of his breakthrough, you know, on the international stage. And I actually think he's just gotten better ever since that MSI tournament, where Meiko now with Deft, the synergy these two guys have together is absolutely insane. Like, they are so aggressive together in the bottom lane. This guy is always the man forcing plays for EDG, because we know Clearlove loves to sit back a little bit more, play more counter jungling style. It's always Meiko leading the charge. He's going in first. He's setting a vision for the team. He's creating plays in the bottom lane. They play around that bottom lane, so he's a very, very important member on the best team in China. I think Meiko brings a lot of very positives. A negative maybe is too over-aggressive, but I feel like you can say that about a lot of the Chinese players. Like, it's kind of a meme, but it also is
it
true.
A flaw?
You know, it is definitely an issue for him where he can go too aggressive, but I think very often he actually times it really well.
So just on that, I think that I used to have that criticism on Meiko as well. And even though you have him higher than me, I think that, you know, he used to play a lot of Annie, a lot of Alistar. But recently he has picked up the Braum, he's picked up the Tahm Kench, and he still does play them forward, but he can play backwards as well. The reason I'm super high on Meiko is because he really is the person that says go on EDG. You can see how proactive he is around the map. And, you know, when you're playing with superstars like Deft, like Clearlove, and it's this young, is a year and a half old in terms
Almost
of League of Legends career.
now.
But he is such an active voice on that team in getting them to set up proactive plays. That's what I like about Meiko. What I don't like about Meiko is the same criticism that we had of Mata, of sometimes going blindly aggressive. EDG like to win the bottom lane if people haven't watched them. And every now and again, he will have a Meiko moment where, you know, he goes super aggressive. There is a jungler waiting there, and it looks really horrible.
Yeah, but the reason I have him at 12 and also ahead of Mata on my list is I think he's just been more consistent as well. And the way he works with the rest of the team, like the Clearlove and the Deft, just synergizes so well. Like, they really feel like a singular unit when they do that. Their laning phase is incredible. Even though he's super aggressive, he still has like good numbers. He doesn't get caught out nearly as much as Mata. And when you go undefeated in the regular season, there's a lot of props to give out, and it's not just going to be from a couple players. And I think Meiko is a really key part of EDG's success.
And EDG is a team where if they do have, let's say, a meh early game, which they do have from time to time, often if the bot lane does mess up, he's still the kind of guy, even if he's down, you know, a few kills, who will go forward and say, okay, now we're 25 minutes into the game, I'm going to create a pick here. I'm not afraid of flashing forward and going for it. And that pick often leads into like a Baron then, which then puts EDG back in the game. So he's just so important at all stages.
And that's the thing that really separates Meiko from some of the other playmaking supports. Like, there's a lot of supports that can take a lead and snowball it. But if Meiko is even or behind, he can still be making those plays without just walking forward and uselessly dying like we see from a lot of other people. So I think that's one thing that's very strong about him.
Yeah, I think the other thing that people will overlook is the fact that he uses semi-globals very, very well. He's a great Tahm Kench player, fantastic Bard player as well. And to be able to do all of these things, range support, you know, Brahms and Tahm Kenches in the laning phase, and then also be able to transition it into the latter stages of the game. His vision control isn't the best in the world, but it's also very good for the LPL. I think that there's so many things that this guy does well.
Yeah, and we're going to see a tournament where support picks are going to be very, very important. A lot of different supports are viable right now. Everything from the defensive ones you mentioned to the very aggressive ones. We're going to see Bard being played as well. If you have a playmaking support who's good in the laning phase, especially with his AD carry, we hear players talk about how these two guys are like the best in the world in the laning phase, and he can then also play team fights later, then you kind of have the full package, even on a team where communication might be a little bit of an issue. So I think Meiko is going to come in here and be the second best support.
We have to touch on the negatives very quickly, though, because like we're heaping praise on this guy, but we're getting into very elite territory. Like, we're at number 12 on the list right there. So, like, Spawn, what are some of the reasons he's not higher on this list, or the best support at Worlds?
I think it's getting really crowded, and I would say that, honestly, I was trying to put Meiko higher, but then when you have a look at the people that are going to come next on the list, they've done it so much more efficiently over a long period of time. I think that there are problems still with the vision control game of the LPL. I think that they don't ward around objectives. I think that his setups around objectives are very poor. If they don't transition it off a play like teamfight into Baron, if Baron has to set it up, then a lot of what he and Clearlove do still lacks the finesse of some of the other teams in the world.
You basically criticize the support on the macro part that some of the LPL teams are definitely still lacking. While EDG is a great team, they do have some weaknesses there, and that really falls on Meiko as a support because vision is, you know, what he's supposed to control. So yeah, I definitely agree there are a few negatives in that way, but we're so high up the list that you're going to have mainly positives all the time.
Exactly. We're at number 12. Meiko is the #1 support from the LPL on our list, the #2 support on our list overall, and the 12th best player at Worlds.